Yeah, I just started crying when you were saying that, by the way, because it's really not that. I want to give back as much as I can while I have the time. Experiencing this firsthand is a very humbling process, and I have no right to be feeling sorry for these people. These people that are needy have so much pride and so much dignity, and they don't want handouts and they don't want easy thing. They want opportunity, they want jobs, they want to go back home, and we will do everything that we can to make that possible and to make that process a bit easier.
What's going on, everyone? It's Ramblings of the Sea. First of all, welcome to the new visitors who are here thanks to a quirk in the YouTube algorithm, and welcome back to all of those who have been supporting the channel for some time. Today, we're going to find out all about the founder of the washing machine project, the inventions that they create that, amongst other things, are helping to provide freedom to women across the global south, and the work that they're doing across the world in over a dozen countries. A quick request before we get into it, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe. I've been told that if you do all three, you'll get extra prasad when you go to the Gurdwara. Let me know if that works for you in the comments below. Today, I have the absolute pleasure to talk to Navjot Sawhney, the founder of the Washing Machine Project. Before we get into it, I just have to say thank you so much for joining us. And then secondly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate it. I love your lad, too. I'm so proud to be in this because.
Thank you. I do really appreciate the support. I think we've both now been following one another for some time. Now, before we find out more about the washing machine project and the inventions and the work that you do, I want to find out more about its founder, you. I guess in a nutshell, who is Navjot Sawhney?
Yeah, well, I was born in London in the 90s. My father was caught up in the partition and lost everything, like many other Punjabi families. And here, the idea of displacement was kind of ingrained into me from a very, very young conversation with a very young about how they have to leave family the line. The granddad had a bullet past his head and decided to pack up everything and leave. And that really affected my family and the social construct of my father's family. And my grandfather never really recovered. And my father's traumas was still in him right until he passed away. And so gestation's always been at the heart of certainly my existence. My mother came to the UK to marry my father. She with £5 in her pocket, and she's a lady of or force for good and so inspirational. And my father, died when I was very young. I was 7 years old, and I was born up with two sisters, and then my mother who brought me up. I knew firsthand the importance of women in our households and how powerful women are to just get stuff done more. And engineering was always something I was bubbling away when I was a kid. My father was an aerospace engineer. I'll be a very curious child. Be taken to air shows and it'd be fascinating to be having speaking aircraft and being in the sky. I'd come back home and I'd take out the toolbox from the cupboard and I'd break everything. They used to really make my mom quite angry, and studying aerospace engineering was a really natural transition at university. So I did that. And, in our community, Sabre and social services is just second nature, right? You just do our post scouting here in Southall, and the scouts really taught me that getting back is the only way forward, because we're in quite a bit of a bubble. Self-concern is the early purpose in life. So these key kind of themes in my life that lead to graduate today. And I joined one of the world's best graduate programs, the global technology company, and I found my cloud nine when I was there for 3.5 years. I loved it so much. I was literally felt like I was the dawn of the whole company. I was the only thing at the time, and I don't want to say it forever, or make exactly forever. And at 3 years in, I realized that every bit of good engineering or I'm doing is making a vacuum cleaner for a rich middle class person around the world. I decided to quit my job and go on sabbatical, and that really pissed my mom off.
I was just about to ask, what did your mom say when it came to quitting this essentially perfect job to then go and volunteer halfway across the world.
Yeah, again, at the time, I was not happy, I was working really long hours, 60 hours a week sometimes. But this organization, my values and say right. And it took a lot of persuaded. At the time, I wanted to move to South India to make cook stoves for a year and a half. And when I told my mom about that, it was like an atom bomb went off in my house. It's it. Yeah, it was really tough conversations. At the time, I really wanted to come back and go to the same company. So I begged them. I was like, please square me back in. But they didn't. And they didn't have that sabbatical policy. And so I just had to quit my job. And so it was a very nervous time. And I went to South India. I was making these cook stoves at the time. So a large part of the world, 50% of the world's population are unlucky as you and I. They have to forage for wood to cook us, and it was disproportionate based on women go into the forest and are subjected to gender-based violence and the time away from wider opportunities. It's just really, really tough for these young active in Saudi Day. And we're making these fuel-efficient smokeless chulas in South India, and the experience is just fascinating. I would have an idea with prototype on Tuesday. Wednesday would have that prototype in the field, and then by Thursday would get feedback straight away from the auntie who's using now. So my work is up nothing off on my wall, and that kind of living lad would go there. And by Friday we'd have another prototype, and we'd make thousands of these prototypes with distributes, thousands of them, and we made a 10-pound cook stove, reduced the cook stove's emissions by 90% and fuel by 50%. Really very rewarding stuff. And I knew that at that point, this is when I'm here for the rest of my life, and where the washing machine project started there during the
When you say that you're making these cook stoves in South India and you're reducing like emissions by 90% or you're like the fuel efficiency by 50%, like how are you, obviously I don't want you to give your secrets away, but like how are you achieving these results?
Yeah, I think to solve any problem, you have to be really passionate about the problem itself. One of my mentors said, fall in love with the problem because the solution will always change. It was the case with cook stoves and smoke emissions and really efficient, So we did a lot of research. I had a team around, and I was working with an organization called Berkeley, who really set up all the environments. And we would go to these villages and interview people on the current cooking habits and try to solve some of these key problems, whether it's, access to woods or charcoal or dung, the cataracts or the breathing problems that they face from breathing and smoke. And then there's, you apply these kind of scientific principles to various hardware products, and then you just have to test them and fail so much. And, I've told you all about the success of that. You fail all the time, and you just have to get used to failure, because that's the part of the development cycle of making everything.
So from these gas cooking stoves then, how did the idea of the actual washing machine come about?
Yeah, so I was living in this very rural village. It's called Kulabnam, 3 hours south of Chennai on the coast. We would have both something like this. And the village I was staying in was just a million miles away from where I was brought up in London. There was 40-degree heat, continuous blackouts. There'd be days with no electricity, so no fans, no air conditioning, no food, refrigeration. All these kinds of things that are grown up to be accustomed with there and the luxuries of life. And, there would be open desiccation, open sewers. I'd get ill every month. And I really kind of immersed myself in this village. I became very good friends with my next door neighbor. The main is living here. She was a 30-something stay-at-home mum, and she got married when I was 16, because that was a thing to do. She had 2 kids. She spoke perfect English, and she was the only lady on the street that spoke perfect English. My Tamil was rubbish and best friends. She learned this English in high school, but never used it since. So she used me as her guinea pig to test her English and, would catch up on the various activities when I get back from work. And Vivia's life was just every enjoyable. From the moment that she woke up to the moment that she slept, she'd have to forage for work to cook her food. She would have to stand in line for water. She would have to hand wash her clothes. Everything that I took for granted, did you have to spend hours and hours extra on this kind of unpaid labor trap that disproportionate place on women is wide reaching. Who washes your clothes? Who books your doctor's appointment? Who makes your food? It's swimming life, and it's really unfair. And I saw that firsthand, people living in Latin countries, and I wanted to target that with my friend, and that's where the promise for making Divya a manual washing machine came from. I eyes it up, and we never looked back since from that promise in 2018, that was 4 years ago. Our mission is really, really simple. We're creating manual crank camera washing machines that save time, water, and effort for 70% of the world's population here have no access to electric washing machines.
So from that promise then, how did that develop into the first prototype?
Yeah, well, I was destined to come back home, so I needed to come back to the UK anyway. So I came back in 2018 under this promise. I started the washing machine project. I knew I couldn't do this alone. It's just too big of a problem. And I was an expert in one terms of I didn't know anything about the UN system and more Oxfam International, how the agencies fund projects and how they distribute machines in places around the world. So I really needed to learn that. So I took up a master's at University of Bath in humanitarianism. So I did that for 2 years. It was a kind of long distance master's part time. And my course was amazing. I was the only engineer. And it really makes me so angry that we have so many good engineers making really trivial products, but it's a more efficient car or a more efficient vacuum cleaner, where it was Didyar and Khaled, the Syrian mother in the Lebanese refugee camp I met last week. There's 10 kids and there for 9 years. These basic products are not reaching them. So I was the only engineer on this humanitarianism course, and a lot of the people were, really senior in these really big charities or decision makers in government, and there's not one engineer at the table in advising people on what people really need. And so I was really at the right place at the right time. I was talking about the idea of this manual washing machine I wanted to create. And one of my peers on the course was quite senior in Iraq in a charity there, and he invited me and my colleague Alex to Iraq for a 5-day field visit. But at the time, we didn't have a prototype, so we got really worried that we wouldn't have anything to show. And so I remember Alex put together this really rough and ready prototype in 2 days over the weekend, and we flew on the Monday, and we took this bag. We took our washing machine without clothes inside there on the flight. It looked like a bomb. Tired of there, it looked really dodgy, and we took these prototype to this refugee camp in Iraq where we interviewed 79 families. And that was the first kind of penny drop moment where the people loved it and people wanted an alternative to washing clothes. Before that, there were times where we'd have brainstorming sessions in my mum's house, in the kitchen, and we kind of went back to basics of what works well. And the salad spinner came up as my idea, and that's really stuck to the current design. And we creating any solution to really understand what end user. And that's why we traveled to 13 countries now and interviewed 4,000 families on washing habits. So we're how big we just having to wash clothes for, where do you wash it? Where do you feel pain with? And that's how we design our products with a kind of user-centered approach. And so, I know for a fact in Uganda, where we conducted 900 ceremonies right now, that the average age of a woman washing clothes is about 33, and the average age when we started was 6. So, think of how many years they've been spending an hours a day on this one activity, and being the opportunity lost there. And so this is the kind of practical application. We made that prototype video of the inspiration. We're now at the video 1.5, which is the kind of washer and dryer that you see on social media.
So what technology is incorporated into the washing machine that makes it so user-friendly in terms of being lightweight for the end user?
Yeah, so washing has been around for centuries. So, we're not going to revolutionize how people wash clothes. It's clothes, soap, and water. And, how people are washing clothes in electric washing machines is really kind of well proved out now. But there's a drum, it's just got certain configuration. Now, we wanted to simplify the process as much as possible and make it robust and reliable. So, if it breaks, people can fix it remotely. So essentially what we created was the 5 kg from the washing machine, which is similar to washing machines in the UK. And it uses around 30 inches of water. It has a gear in it that spins at about 500 RPM, making it easier to rotate. And it also dries the curls. So, the 30 liters that go in, 70% of those 30 liters come out and you can use that for what it is. So what that means is you're reducing the time by 75% and the water by 50% compared to hand washing clothes. Hand washing clothes is really efficient with time and really inefficient with water. And, we're improving posture, the interaction with detergent and soap, causes skin irritation. And so we're limiting that with creating an enclosed washing machine. And so this is where we are right now. But, our dream is, to have a complete product portfolio of AVL automatics, semi-automatics, manuals, and big laundrettes in the future. And this really will be capable. It's just really, really humbling to have so much interest. We've had requests from 25 countries now, 5,000 washing machines, and we were stuck, and it's just phenomenal.
I certainly find the work that you're doing inspiring, and I'm sure others do too, because the work that you and the washing machine project do is literally life-changing. Now, just coming back to the washing machine for a second, it's this gear then that makes it so user-friendly and lightweight. Now, if for some instance that breaks or something else breaks, how is that repaired or replaced?
Yeah, so it's really hard to service and find refugee camp in Lebanon, Iraq. So, let me take you back to war refugee camp periods. Yeah, so this is a space that was a barren land, and then overnight, essentially, thousands and thousands of people send on this place and then make homes out of this area. So they put up tents, caravans. They have bustling informal economies. You can there's barbers, there's supermarkets, there's a mechanic, there's a playground. These are kind of good standard refugee camps. There's obviously some really bad refugee camps out there. So I think we need to reframe what a refugee camp looks like. So when something breaks on our machine, we want to make it as linearable and repairable as possible. So like this mouse that I have, I would literally have to break this mouse to put it back together again. It's snap fit. Whereas on our machine, everything's screwed together so it can be removable. All the parts are off the shelf, so you could locally source those parts. And then we train up the mechanics to fix them. I mean, it's irreparable, they replace it.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. How has it been then working with some of your partners? So I noticed that you're working with Oxfam, you're working with Electrocomponents.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an engineer, and so I have, when I started, I had like no idea how to create a brand, how to create an organization, how to get partners on board, and how to push something up there. So I had to actually learn this, and with an incredible team, by the way. The team I have are just so great at what they do. My passion is just to make the life better for people struggling so much. I just keep telling that story, and it's the storytelling piece that engages people. And I say to her, no, don't forget Lydia, because she's still living that life. Don't forget counseling. Don't forget Lanya and Nira. And they need your help, and I'm just a conduit between the two. I'm the vehicle of change. And but these amazing corporates like Electric Components who are funding us over the next 3 years and deploying 8,000 washing machines in 10 countries. It's amazing, and as corporates, employees want organizations to do more. COVID has shown us that we are mere mortals, and we're stuck in on feeling really sorry about ourselves. And we want to help people. And, organizations like Washington Project are doing new required support. And it's just natural to partner up with people that want to make the world a better place.
No, definitely. I was watching an interview that you done with Now This last night in preparation for this, just to try and figure out some interesting questions. And you'd commented, and to be fair, you actually hinted to it earlier, which is that you're hoping to become a global leading organization for humanitarian appliances. And as you'd said earlier, you kind of want a whole range of washing machines. Just putting the washing machines to the side though for a second, what other problems have you identified that require a solution that you could provide?
I mean, okay, so I was on the border of Syria and Lebanon last week, or back on Saturday, and it was -7. There was a snowstorm, completely no power, no access to gas. So how does one cope in a shack with metal walls or a tent in that condition with a family of 12? So as an engineer, when I go to these places, there's problems literally everywhere. Whether it's off-the-grid lighting, air conditioning, sanitation, off-the-grid refrigeration is something that we are looking at right now as our next product. And that should be, we should be talking more about that later this year, mid this year, and have something a bit more physical to show at the end of this year. And we'll be looking back at this moment and this podcast in 10 years' time and laugh at the time where we just made brand new washing machines. And said that, I want to become the dice of the humanitarian world, and we will not stop until we have, have really high scale, high impact, and right across the world.
I'm certainly cheering you on, and I hope that it all works out for you and you do become the Dyson of the humanitarian world. Now, one last question I've got is, visiting these refugee camps in war-torn areas or areas that have been struck by famine or some type of natural disaster must have an impact on you. And secondly, you must visit these places and see a number of problems that you can provide a solution to, but for whatever reason can't provide it instantly. So how is that all for you?
Yeah, I just started crying when you were saying that, by the way, because it's really not fair. This could happen to anyone, and we're just so lucky to be born and brought up in a very fairly stable country. I really have not had to worry about money, and so lucky and so privileged. And I want to give back as much as I can while I have the time in this space on this planet. And experiencing this firsthand is a very humbling process. I have no right to be feeling sorry for them people. These people that have so much pride and so much dignity, and they don't want handouts and they don't want to use it free. They want opportunities, they want jobs, they want to go back home, they want a safe space to go back to. And we will do everything that we can to make that possible and to make that process a bit easier whilst they're in the conditions that we are in. And for me, going to these places and learning from from them, understanding their stories and how they, how their running life is. It's just, it brings it back home and puts in perspective for me. I remember when I came home from India, I would sit on the floor, I would leave my hands. I would try everything to feel connected. But nothing can make you feel connected without going there and, experiencing Ivor. And on the flip side of things, I really try hard not to just ignore or say that I'm holier than thou. Everyone has their own second storms. My mom told me a very kind of interesting lesson. She was like, now no one has changed apart from you. You're the one that's experiencing these things. It's your job to come back and tell people. They don't get angry at people for not changing. It's not their fault. Or it's your job to persuade them to come along the journey of change. I thought that was a really beautiful moment as to how to change the thing to the mindset. Yes, there's billions of people struggling, but one washing machine can make an impact on a family. It would allow Sugama, the 7-year-old son, the opportunity to go to school because maybe I could go work and pay for his education. And that one washing machine is all that it takes. And that's what that is.
It's amazing. Genuinely amazing. I just want to double check. I've gone through the list of questions that I wanted to ask you in terms of kind of getting an idea about the washing machine project, understanding you a little bit more, and kind of the impact that all of this has on you. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to go over or mention or include?
Yeah, I think people often ask, when they see the work I did, well, just any other how can we help? We're not doing anything special here. No, you can just by knowing about a problem is half the battle won. To talk about it, whether that's talking to your relative or family or work colleagues, sharing it, commenting on it is really important.
A quick question then, I guess, which would be useful to ask is where can people find you in terms of socials? Where's the website? If they wanted to donate, how does it work?
Yeah, so the washing machine project is on social media on that name, and you can find us on the washing machine project.org on our websites, and we have our goals on the campaign right now. You can donate what you can to distribute a washing machine. We distribute the washing machines at cost. 100% of your donation will go to the development and deployment of washing machines. So right across the world, give generously and please don't forget people like that because they need your support.
So for those of you watching who are interested and do want to get involved and help the washing machine project, you can find all the relevant links in the description down below. Now I do have one last question, and I promise it is the last one. What are your plans for 2022?
We have just finished our pilot in Iraq. This is our third pilot. And over the last 6 months, we've had so many orders and so much interest. We're currently making our machines here in the UK and South Wales. This is quite inefficient, so we want to try and make them for people in location. So we're going to locations like Mexico and India and Uganda right now to find local manufacturers that to manufacture these more, avoiding all the kind of logistics associated to making products in the UK. Now, that's really quite challenging. It's going to take 6 to 9 months. That's our main challenge. Facilitating more of 4 pilot orders that we're getting right now. So really buckling down and ramping up the production of the machines over the next 6 to 9 months this year. And when more products will come out, so the next couple of years, and then ramping up and scaling up those. So yeah, there's a huge development cycle associated to going from hundreds of washing machines to thousands of washing machines.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, all I can say for that is good luck. I hope everything goes according to plan.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate this.
Nah, not a problem, man. All right, what I'll do then is I will leave you to the rest of your day. I honestly can't say thank you enough for taking the time out to do this.
Take care.
Take care, Sim. Take it easy, man. So you made it to the end of another podcast episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and comment below what your favorite part was. More importantly, don't forget to support the work the Washing Machine Project are doing. You can find all the relevant links in the description below this video. Otherwise than that, I will see you all in the next one.